It's, the player doesn't want to be there and is raising a stink or whatever, and then you can say fuck the player when he gets shipped out of town. Good riddance. Don't want him in the room. Locker room cancer. Whatever you want to say. But part of the reason that the player wants out is because of organizational ineptitude.
Let's discuss JJ Peterka. Sean, it's looking more likely that the Sabres move him. From Elliot Friedman on 32 Thoughts. Quote, it's believed he would like to go somewhere else. No shit. And I just think that the reality is sinking in a bit, I'll add, for the Sabres. I think the Sabres realize they have to at least look into it. And I think in the last little bit, it's gone from we don't want to do it and we're not doing it to we don't want to do it, but we at least have to look into it. Now, if you don't know who JJ Peterka is, he is a young wing who is an excellent player, a top player on the Buffalo Sabres, who would be a top player on a lot of teams. AFP Analytics says that in his RFA status that he could sign for, or he would be worth 7 times 7.98, or if you go shorter, 4 times 4.62. We've been hearing since the deadline because people were talking about like the Rangers will go after him. This team will go after him. Seems that he's unhappy there. Elliot is saying as much. Sean, how do you feel about the growing likelihood that JJ Peterka, John Jason, 25 years young, I want to say, 28 goal scorer, could be on the move?
I mean, it's kind of how
23 years old, I'm sorry.
It's kind of how I felt about Rafael Devers to a certain extent, where like there's a part of me that's like, if you don't want to be here, get the fuck out. But also, like, Rafael Devers is going to end up being a Hall of Famer, and it's going to make me want to die. It just seems like prime Sam Reinhart territory. Like, he's going to leave, and he's going to be amazing. Ultimately, it depends on what the return is as to how I'd feel about an actual trade. But I don't like it. It's just another in a long line of, like, yeah, the Buffalo Sabres suck and players don't want to be there.
Much like the Red Sox situation with Devers, it's, the player doesn't want to be there and is raising a stink or whatever, and then you can say fuck the player when he gets shipped out of town. Good riddance. Don't want him in the room. Locker room cancer. Whatever you want to say. But part of the reason that the player wants out is because of organizational ineptitude, and that has plagued the Sabres for so long. This is another chapter, and I get like bailing on them is not going to endear yourself to the fans or whatever. But like at the same time, does anybody really blame JJ Peterka? Like, if you were if you were not tied to Sabres fandom, you would also probably want out.
Yeah. My only thing about it is like, why? Like, I'm trying to think of a nicer way to say this, but like, who does he think he is? Like, if Tage Thompson and Rasmus Dahlin aren't banging down the door requesting to get out, and I get that he's an RFA, so he's kind of got a little more flexibility as far as that's concerned, but like, you haven't been on another franchise, you haven't been in the league that long, like, for you to say, and like, it seems like the Sabres are actually for once trying to make moves in the right direction. Like, this is the most stable they've been in JJ's tenure as a Buffalo Sabre. So like, those things are tough pills to swallow. But yeah, in a vacuum, I don't blame anyone for not wanting to be on the Buffalo Sabres. The team hasn't been in the playoffs in 800 years. Like, that's I don't think JJ Peterka is sitting there and is like, I don't want to become Rasmus Dahlin, who's now however many years into his career and hasn't sniffed the playoffs. Like, I get that he wants to get paid and be locked into a good team. I understand all of that, but it's a tough pill to swallow.
I have a couple of thoughts on this. One is I cannot shake the vision and the experience of the Sabres trade JJ Peterka, get a 2026 first-round pick back in the deal, and all year we are on the blank pick watch, where let's say it's from the Rangers, where we're watching the Rangers pick, and where's it going to be? What odds are they going to have in the lottery? And we are going to have this looming idea that between that pick and possibly Buffalo's own, they could be in the Gavin McKenna sweepstakes. That would be interesting. That's one thing. The other thing is, if the Buffalo Sabres trade JJ Peterka, suddenly the Buffalo Sabres have come into a lot of money, and they become very interesting players in the offseason. If they trade JJ Peterka before the draft or before July 1, they've already got 23 point something million dollars in cap space. Suddenly, you don't have to subtract 8 of that for JJ Peterka, and now you've got all this money and you got these young defensemen, and suddenly you are players for whoever you want to overpay for. And I'll add that in the Sabres' current position, they kind of are in the spot where they can go overpay somebody, because it's not like you've got player X who is due for his Rasmus Dahlin deal next year. They've signed a lot of those young guys to those long contracts already. Power's already signed up. Obviously, Dahlin is already signed up. Norris is signed for quite a while longer. Tage is signed up. So you are in kind of position, if you want, to give Mitch Marner a call, or to give Sam Bennett a call, or to give whomever, or to save your money for next year and make a run at somebody big.
Like Jack Eichel.
Obviously.
A couple of things is, first off, like as Elijah in the chat brings up, if you're trading an unprotected first-round pick for JJ Peterka, I think you're an insane person. So there's that. Secondly, the Buffalo Sabres should not be trading for draft picks, even if Ganovan McKenna is somewhat in the realm of possibility. They need to be trading for NHL players. And so, again, it ultimately comes down to, like, what the return is. If they're trading him for a Jason Robertson, it's a little different story. I saw someone bring up Natchez. It's a commonly held belief that Natchez had an opportunity to sign with the Buffalo Sabres and didn't want to. So, like, I don't think that's happening. So, like, that's the other thing is, like you alluded to, you're gonna have to overpay anybody if you end up in a situation for signing a free agent. And if you're trading for another RFA, it has to be someone that's going to be willing to sign in Buffalo, and that seems like a relatively short list. So I don't really know where they go from here.
I want to know what Peterka wants. Like, I want to know why he wants out. Like, he has a big role in Buffalo. He's produced in Buffalo.
Seems like he just wants to play playoff hockey.
Yeah, maybe.
Which the Sabres aren't that far away from on
that
paper.
Part I agree with you with. Like, if you're bailing on them now, it seems like an interesting time to do it. When and I know it constantly feels like the Sabres are going in the right direction. Doesn't always mean that they are going in the right direction. But yeah, I want to know what he wants, and that will answer some questions for me. You mentioned Natchez, and not wanting to be in Buffalo. Does that guy want to be anywhere? Every 90% of every rumor that comes out about Marty Natchez is this team wanted him, but he didn't want to sign there.
I mean,
so where does he want to be?
All I'll say is that, like, you not wanting to sign in Buffalo or Winnipeg, I don't think qualifies as you being a particularly picky player.
Carolina, Colorado, like where we are.
No. Carolina, that was more. Carolina wasn't sure about him. In fairness,
yeah, like
it wasn't. He wasn't sure about them. It was they weren't sure about him. They didn't want to give him a big contract.
I don't know. But regardless, as far as Buffalo Sabres are concerned, I don't think Marty Natchez is in play. Like, I think from all sides, if the Dallas Stars are serious about considering moving out Jason Robertson, like, that's a move that makes sense. It gives JJ something that he does not have in Buffalo, which is a legitimate chance to win a Stanley Cup right now. The Sabres get back, like, a quality first line player, which is what I think they need to be. That, or like another RFA who's willing to sign in Buffalo, like Marco Rossi or something like that.
That also too, like that contract projection for Peterka would essentially just wash and further extend what they have with Robertson at that price. Correct?
Yeah.
Like right now, Robertson's around 7.5, the 7.
I think.
So like it would basically just be piece in, piece out. You get a little younger. I would really like that deal for both sides, honestly. Peterka and Robertson being swapped.
I like Robertson or Dobson, or like, as long as you have the obviously nothing is guaranteed until you put pen to paper, but like as long as you have the guarantee that this player is going to sign long term, like it needs to be another young player, another young, like, NHL ready top 6 forward or a right D.
I think that you boys raise a good point on where the Sabres actually are, because I think that if you change the colors and the crest and just gave it a different uniform and different name.
If this was Utah,
and you said okay,
they're ready to pop.
There's a pretty young team. They've got a number 1 defenseman, one of the best defensemen in the league, signed forever. They've got another young defenseman signed for a while. They've got a young center who's going to be there for a long time. They've got like the pieces are in place. It's just they're not so deep. But they have some of the boxes that if you're building a Madden franchise for hockey, NHL Madden, they've done what you'd be doing there. All right, how does that sound? Yeah, that sounds cool.
I mean,
it's the Sabres.
Them missing the playoffs last year, again, outside of the fact that they're the
and they've
Buffalo
got
Sabres,
a goalie.
Maybe.
I think they got a goalie.
Might have 2 goalies. We just don't know. Do you have 2?
They might have
2
none.
goalies. Do you have
one?
any goalies?
Because that's another thing. Is there's a definitely a desire.
If you don't have 2, you don't have 1. It's like
there's definitely a desire in Buffalo for them to acquire like an actual NHL goalie, because we have yet to see Devin Levi show that he can be an NHL goalie, and it was quite the letdown for Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen last year. So maybe he'll be good still, but it's not an ideal situation. There's plenty of things. Buffalo has very obvious things that they can fix. How they go about fixing them is a different question, but like it's clear what they need to do. Losing JJ would hurt me though, personally.
Especially if he goes to the Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, fuck the New York Rangers. If the New York Rangers want to do that, whatever. You guys suck. Like you're there. Do the New York Rangers, are they in a better situation than the Buffalo Sabres right now? Because I don't think that's.
I would say they are in a significantly worse situation, minus the goaltending.
Yeah, I would agree. So like, if he wants to go to New York, enjoy. Bon voyage.
I would rather. I can't believe I'm saying this. I don't have an interest in being a Rangers fan. I would rather be a Sabres fan though than a Rangers fan. Right?
I wouldn't. I have no interest. The Rangers annoy me.
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting take for this show.
We all silly like the mayor.